Let's dive in right away, folks. Today we're building I-Beam Girders, which is a great way to add a real industrial look to your Warhammer 40k terrain. The supplies you need for this project, you need some cardboard from Cereal Box, some of the very narrow 5mm wide coffee stir sticks, a good hobby knife, a single hole punch, some sandpaper, some side cutters, and a schwack of steel rulers, or anything else that you can use as a weight. One ruler, of course, will be used for cutting. First thing is you can take your cereal box cardboard, and all food grade cardboard comes with a wax film on it. So you want to take some sandpaper and just break through that wax film. You don't need to sand it off completely. You just want to break it up so the paint adheres properly when it comes time to paint these things, as well as make sure the glue has lots of nooks and crannies to get into to make sure it's a secure connection. We start by cutting the cardboard into the same length as the coffee stir sticks. We're going to do a whole schwack of them today. I think I got enough cardboard here for about 20-25 girders. So I'll do a test here. You'll notice the blue tape on the single hole punch. That's a depth guide that I measured and made sure it's there so I don't have to check each time I do the hole punch. I know when I push the cardboard into the hole punch, it's going to be the same depth every time. Makes things nice and even. So once I'm satisfied, I got a good little prototype built, then I'll just do all the cutting here. So we're not going to bore you to tears and make you watch me cut all these strips. So you get the idea, cut them into 1 centimeter thick strips, and we end up with about 25 strips. And once that's done, then we got to cut the holes with a single hole punch. Again, I stress the guide on the hole punch so you don't have to worry about the depth, and the holes I know are going to be a nice even across the whole girder. So I think it took me about an hour or so to do this many, and yes, your hand will get sore after a while. So if anybody has any better ideas on how to do that, I'm open-minded. So we're almost done cutting the holes now. And like I said, I got about 25 of them. I like to do them in mass production sets. That way I got a supply of them moving forward. As a quick side note, I keep the circular offcuts from the hole punching. You just never know when you're going to need a whole bunch of circles to create a cool greebly or gubbin on a new model in the future. So we're going to start assembling our girders now, and I strongly recommend you use super low viscosity crazy glue for this portion, as it makes sure that the glue will seep into all the nooks and crannies through capillary action to the wood and the cardboard, giving it a very, very strong bind. Now we use to put on top of the girder assembly while it's drying, and that creates some pressure and prevents the girder from moving around while the glue sets, and make sure it keeps everything nice and tight while the glue sets. So you process for as many girders as you have set up to build. In my example here, of course, I got 25 or so. I'm not going to bore you and make you watch all 25, so we'll speed things up. The first side of the girder is done. We just repeat the process by flipping the girder over and doing the other side. For some reason, I've always needed extra weight when gluing the second side on. So add some weight to the ruler. And this is one of the reasons why I like using the bendy rulers, because you can put some weight on and move the weight around till you get the right pressure on the object you're trying to hold still while it dries. And lather, rinse, and repeat until we're done. At this point, the girders are actually fully assembled. They're a nice I-beam shape, and they're quite strong at this point. You'll notice I manhandle the girders quite liberally at this point, because you actually want them to fall apart now if there's any connections that aren't glued properly. You want it to fall apart now as opposed to in the middle of a modeling project later on. So with all the girders done, you need to sand off the burrs and the slivers on the coffee stir sticks. So you take some lightweight sandpaper. I use 180 grit here. And you want to just sand the edges and the sides to get rid of anything that's sticking out so you don't get any slivers. With our girders all done, we're going to clean up our workspace a bit here. Because I use glass and I spill my crazy glue liberally, I take a steel ruler just to scrape off all the glue, and because it's on glass, it just pops off nice and simply, and you end up with a nice clean surface when you're done. So now it's inventory of I-Beam girders ready for priming and ready for cutting into whatever shape we need. And again, the benefit of doing them in mass is you don't have to stop and do 1 or 2 girders. You know you've got an inventory laying around. You just grab from the bag and move on. And that's it, folks. Thanks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
The Emperor wishes you a lovely day.